Submitted for your consideration. The time is mid-afternoon. The day could be any weekday. The place, the normally bustling streets of an urban metropolis. But today is different. The streets are empty. Hospitals, the refuge of the sick and vulnerable, are shuttered, on guard for a threat that lurks unseen, unheard, and undetected. Playgrounds are deserted, their cherished denizens ensconced at home by mom and dad. An unsettling calm hangs over the city as its few masked inhabitants distance from one another in fear. It's just another weekday afternoon in the COVID zone.
As I reported yesterday, we now have confirmed cases in every health zone in Alberta. As was announced by Premier Kenney earlier this afternoon, we are taking aggressive new measures in an effort to reduce the spread of COVID-19. The Government of Alberta is finalizing the signing of a state of public health emergency, empowering authorities under the Public Health Act to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, this is getting serious.
Mass gatherings are limited to no more than 50 people. All Albertans are prohibited from attending public recreational facilities and private entertainment facilities, including casinos, racing entertainment centers, and bingo halls. They should also not attend all recreational facilities, gyms, arenas, science centers, museums, art galleries, community centers, fitness centers, swimming pools, and libraries.
This is going to change
This
everything.
prohibition also extends to attending...
My greatest regret receiving an LVAD was losing the ability to go swimming. It didn't even occur to me at the time that now, with the closure of pools, my fate was being thrust upon everyone.
Frontline teams will be redeployed to other areas of the healthcare system to meet demand and ease pressure points.
Better see if we have a VAD team.
Tremendous impact.
We definitely had questions for our next clinic. In addition to finding out whether there'd be a VAD team there at all, I was starting to wonder if someone as health compromised as a VAD patient would even be considered for treatment if we caught this virus.
Advising all Albertans to take all appropriate steps to socially distance themselves from others during their day-to-day lives.
We'd better be
All
ready
measures,
to self-isolate.
however small they may seem, play an important part in reducing...
Way back in February, the hospital told VAD patients to stock up on food and meds and prepare for self-isolation. It seemed silly at the time. As we listened to the radio list off all the ways our lives were about to change, our preparations now seemed a whole lot less crazy.
There will be a surge of cases that overwhelm our health...
We eventually got our chance to ask some questions in the form of a telephone-based outpatient consult, the new pandemic-friendly version of VAD Clinic.
Hi, Larry speaking.
Hi, Mr. Thompson.
Hi.
Hi, this is Jean Deschamps and Diana from the VAD Clinic with Dr. Bokos.
Yeah, hi. How you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Oh, we're good. We're excellent. I'm here. Ruth, my caregiver and fiance, is here.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name? Sorry.
I'm Larry, and this is Ruth.
Okay. Just making sure I know who I'm speaking to by name. It's always nicer that way.
Yeah.
So we're just making calls to patients we haven't seen in a little while, planning to see for a little while because of the COVID business to make sure everybody's doing well and there's no major problems that we're missing. So, you told me you're doing well. Is there anything you're concerned about in these difficult times?
Not really. Let's see. I mean, I guess right now everything's going well for us. We're isolating when we can out at our farm where we've got 80 acres to ourselves, and that's been working pretty good. During the week, for the most part, I'm still working, but I'm mostly working in empty buildings. And Ruth is working from home right now, so we're managing to stay out of trouble. I did have some questions, I guess, about what might happen if one of us, say a VAD patient, ended up contracting COVID-19, though.
Yeah, that's we haven't had that up to now, and crossing your fingers, we won't. I think one of the things is a lot of patients with COVID actually do okay and don't actually need specific instructions. So, as far as I know, but I can talk to Dr. Buchholz, and maybe Diana knows more than I do. If you were to contract COVID, we treat you as we treat any other patient with COVID. If you're sick enough to be in the hospital, you come to the hospital. And if you're doing quite well, it's a light cough or something and nothing else, then we probably keep you at home safely.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
That would be the most reasonable thing, right?
Yeah.
Certainly, what we want to make sure that you know is if you feel unwell, to call us. And do know that if you feel unwell and we feel like we need to see you in person in the hospital, we still run clinics on Mondays.
Okay.
We just really make sure we don't bring people unless they have to, and try to do most of our work by telemedicine. But if ever you feel like you need to see us in person for anything that's wrong, we will make that happen.
Okay, sounds good. In the event that it got quite bad, is there advanced care available for a VAD patient, or would that depend on the availability of resources?
Well, you mean in the community, like advanced care, home care for home, and stuff like that?
Let's say if a VAD patient needed a ventilator or something like that, would you even try?
It's a good question. We have not discussed it, but in my opinion, I see no reason we can't. And I do believe Dr. Buchholz would advocate that way as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's different when you have somebody who has a lot of comorbidities that are terminal, and that's for sure, or somebody that's much more elderly. But most of that patients are younger, are definitely below threshold for admission to the ICU, and on the device, most of them have normal lives. So there is no reason that they would be treated any differently if they were to need a ventilator.
Okay.
I think the service would strongly advocate for patients with VAD if they were to require a ventilator to need one.
Okay.
To get one.
All right. Did you have any questions, Ruth, about that?
No, I thank you for that.
Okay.
Just a question. I can ask you a couple more specific questions to make sure I have all my base covered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Any shortness of breath more than usual when you're doing your usual activities?
No, not at all. We're trying to get outside a little bit more and get a little bit more activity too. But no shortness of breath. We're feeling good. We did a fairly long bike ride on Sunday, and that was Sunday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and everything felt good. It felt really good to be on the bike again and
That's
get
great.
out for a few kilometers.
We want to make sure patients do exercise and don't stay indoors and decondition.
Yeah, we're kind of concerned about that, so we've been trying to stay ahead of that.
As long as you stay away from people, it's completely safe to go outside.
Okay, good to know.
And it's actually encouraged, so you don't decondition, because that can be certainly worse in some situations than anything else that we can throw at you.
Yeah, I mean, I know from
you doing what you're doing, I think it's great.
Yeah, I know from personal experience that you really got to stay on top of being active, or it sneaks up on you a lot quicker than when before the VAD. So it felt good to do that. We've been staying pretty active as it is. I mean, out here we heat with wood, so we're always cutting wood, and physical activities like that are just generally kind of good for you as well. So.
Mm-hmm. You're completely right. I think you're a model patient for that. You're the first one who tells me doing bike rides and walking outside regularly in these days without any worries. So I'm quite happy.
Well,
Any
it's
shortness of breath
picking
at night?
it's picking the the lesser risk, right?
I'm sorry?
It's picking the lesser risk.
Exactly.
I think the risk of sitting on the couch is probably higher.
Yeah, you're right. Any shortness of breath at night, so waking up short of breath?
Not at all.
Any edema, any ascites?
Nope. I can check right now.
How's your weight then?
Weight is good. I'm at last time I weighed about 206 pounds.
Okay, perfect. That's your usual weight.
Yeah, that's with all the equipment unloaded, but that's how we always do it. So
It is what it is, right?
yeah,
Here's a question. Would you happen to have your VAD numbers on you?
I can get them right now. Never go too far from that controller, so
Ah, good. You picked up on the joke. Great.
okay.
I'm testing cognitive function right now.
That's good. That's good. I keep asking you in the ICU whether if you know where you are. I said Alberta Mazankowski Heart Institute once, and the guy looks at me and says, "I would have taken hospital." So we're looking at 9,400 RPM, flow of 5.7 liters per minute, PI of 6.5, and a power 5.9 watts right now. That depends on my body position, of course, but that's pretty normal for me.
Any alarms?
Nope.
All right. Well, from my point of view, I don't think I have anything else I need to ask you. I think things look quite well. Do you have anything else you need to ask me?
Yeah, I could ask you some general questions if you're up for it.
Go for it.
I was just wondering. I mean, I've been on the VAD now for about 3 years, and a little bit over 3 years, and I've probably got one of the last HeartMate 2 units, and it's 3 years in and running very well. But I was going to ask you about driveline fractures and just what you know about that. I mean, first of all, how common are they? Do they increase over time?
Well, there's certainly, I wouldn't say they're uncommon because we do have patients that have them. It's not frequent that we have to act on them to the point where we have to change the device or do repeat operations.
Okay, so it would be a partial failure where the device would still function.
So most of the devices, so the driveline itself has multiple redundancy and multiple cables. So even if one cable goes, there's other cables that can do the same job, at least 3 of them in the cable itself.
Yeah, so you've got 6 wires, 3 phases of the motor, and a shield. I think the thing that have you ever seen a short to shield?
I'm not a long-term VAD physician, so I can't answer that question. I would have to ask Dr. Buchholz.
Okay.
I haven't been doing this long enough to say I have a lot of experience with the failures of the driveline.
Okay, so in your experience, then there are not a lot of failures that basically are an immediate catastrophic failure where the pump would stop and not have an easy means of restarting. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And the device is designed with that in mind, that catastrophic failures are catastrophic, and so there's multiple fail-safes in there to avoid that. I think the only thing that would lead to catastrophic failure would be complete transection. Okay. And usually these are going to be voluntary in some way by the patient, or an accident, like a massive accident that would lead to more damage into the driveline in most patients.
Yeah. So if the driveline, if your usual configuration was to keep the driveline secured and with no dangly bits, that would probably improve your odds with that. Have you found any issues with drivelines failing around a common flex point? Like, let's say, is it more common around the connector plug, or let's say, the one thing I'm kind of concerned about for myself would be right around the anchor point, because it's always the same place on the driveline, and I know it gets flexed a lot there, especially when I'm active. Yeah, you're 100% right. There's definitely flex points that are more at risk and are known to. I would have to have a driveline to be able to point at them specifically. That's why the newest device, the HeartMate 3, has a modular cable that we can replace. That covers, so
in the middle of the hard matrix driveline, there's a point where you can connect that represented a place where there was a similar amount of fractures, and also a lot of fractures are more distal away from the body.
Yeah.
So that's why there's this modular cable in place in the new devices. I would say if you haven't had any fractures up to now after 3 years, it means you're taking care of it well enough that you're unlikely to have any.
Okay. I may be on this for a while though, so.
Well, yes, you may, but
I haven't
a lot
listed
of
for
fractures are. We know who's going to get fractures, essentially.
Really?
We know which patients are going to get into trouble with fractures, and certainly from what I hear about you and read about you, you're not one of them.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good.
That's interesting. What's your indicator where you'd be able to tell that?
You take care of yourself and you ask the right questions.
Oh, okay. It's that simple. Okay.
It's as simple as that, right? If you're asking questions because you're worried about your driveline, it means you're taking care of it. And that is probably the number one thing to prevent any issues with fractures and problems with the driveline.
Okay, because I do know that at that point, right at the anchor point, that that's a place where the driveline gets used more than anywhere else. Up around the connector, I'm not too worried about because most of my common configurations for wearing it don't put a lot of flex on that, but it's just something to watch, I guess. Now, if a non-catastrophic fracture occurred outside the body, there should be the ability to repair that, considering that
there's some degree that repair can be done using the engineers from the company can come and splice back the wire and fix some of the connections.
Yeah, transfer over 3 to a new controller.
It's time intensive, but we do it when we have to.
Okay, good to know. All right, I think that's something that'll be very, very. That's interesting for us to know. Did you have any other questions about that, Ruth?
No.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just wondering if I had any other questions for you. I think that's most of it. I'm sorry, I didn't catch. So that's what VAD Clinic looks like in the midst of a pandemic. Not that I remotely considered that anything like this could ever happen. It was great to talk with Dr. Deschamps about drivelines, and somehow strangely reassuring to do all the usual VAD Clinic stuff and see firsthand that the team is still looking out for us, even in these uncertain times. Yeah, I think that answers my questions.
Wonderful. In that case, I'm going to leave you to your things in your day. I'm going to have a couple more phone calls to do.
Will Dr. Buchholz be calling, or are we good for the day then?
I don't know anyone today.
Larry.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
It's having a busy day today.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you guys stay well around there, too.
Oh, yeah. We will. Take care and have a good day, sir.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I guess the main takeaway is that help is still there for us if we need it. And they're doing their best to keep us safe in the meantime by keeping us away from the hospital unless we need to be there. There's been a lot of talk about tough decisions that need to be made if the healthcare system gets stretched beyond its limits. Some of that is implied that patients like myself at a higher risk of a bad outcome could be left out in the cold. It's good to know that if at all possible, it's still business as usual. As VAD patients, we've all beaten death at least once, and we know the drill. Most of the time you're not in the driver's seat anyway, so be careful about stuff, but don't sweat it too much. Live life seeking an understanding of what you can do to make it safer, but be sure to live life. Treat every day like the gift it is. And if you're struggling with that, talk to your VAD team. They'll have someone who can get things back on track. Remember, most of us have never experienced a major global event like this in our lifetime. Those who have tell us to prepare mentally for the long game. When everyone gets tired of hoarding toilet paper and making banana bread, life has to go on. And it's gonna be different. I've always said VAD patients aren't that much different from anyone else. We just get reminded how fragile the human body can be a little more often. These past weeks have given everyone a taste of that. Take care, LVAD Nation. Stay well, okay?
Hi there, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm trying to get my cat off the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
So how's that working? How's that working, Robert?
No, it's not. Hang on. Oh, here he is. Do you see?
Oh yeah, there you go. Wasn't that a situation?
Okay, come here, buddy. Come here. Jump into the tree. Yes, the tree. The tree is your friend.
I can't believe this is working.
Well, you're the moron that went up there.
That sounds like an excellent afternoon task for a VAD patient.
There's still a lot of options, but I'm sure if he sleeps a couple of nights,